Hello, and welcome to Inspiring Engagement with Memory Care and Small Group Programs presented by me, Alexandria Velez, Avita Program Director at Avita of Stroutwater. So I want to start out by discussing what makes us different here at Northbridge and what really sets us apart from other communities in our surrounding areas. As you can see, we have highlighted have peace of mind knowing we take time getting to know our residents and focusing on what matters most to them. There is something for everyone. At Northbridge, it is our goal to serve the many diverse needs and desires of today's seniors. We strive to create living environments and innovative programs which encourage freedom, offer lifestyle choices, and provide the necessary services to live life to the fullest. I'd like to begin by talking about person-centered care approaches. So the more you know about the individual, the better it is to support our residents. In doing so and learning about our residents, that's when we introduce as a care team the social history questionnaire. Those social history questionnaires are super important in really integrating the lives of our residents into the community. It has their triggers, what they may like doing, hobbies, what they like to eat. It has such a wide variety and really getting to know that person. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about social history questionnaires, but first I want you to take a few minutes to discuss with the proctor in your class about how your specific role in your community takes part in making that difference in our residents' lives. While you're doing that, I also want you as a group to discuss what the word engagement means to you and how you can really carry that out into day by day with our residents. So take a few minutes and pause this video. Engagement is a collaboration among all departments. It's about connecting with our residents. It can be small but make a huge impact. Maybe a resident's having a really bad day and you walking up to them and saying, "Hey, that blouse is beautiful," might completely turn their day around. Partner with our residents. It's not just about the task, it's about the relationship you build. So maybe a resident doesn't want to go in the shower. You go into their apartment, you're sitting there, you're flipping through their photo album with them, you're laughing with them, having a great time. And as you build that relationship, you're showing them that you care and you want to do right by them. And then 5 minutes later, they're saying, "Okay, it's time to go in the shower." Photo albums are a great motivator, and also at the same time, if you know a program's starting at 10:30 and that resident needs to take a shower first, say, "Hey Betty, I really know you enjoy going to pedal fitness, but let's go get you in the shower first so we can make it there on time." When all the care is done and the resident is ready to go down to the program, accompany them. Give them that increased safety and comfort in order to get them down there safely. Give them that positive reinforcement so they know that this is something that they can enjoy. Looking at our nursing team specifically, one of the objectives on your job description states performs group and individual activities, structured and impromptu, in activity spaces, common areas, and in the resident's room to support resident desires and as directed. Can you think of some times throughout your shift where you could potentially involve a resident into helping you or assisting with something? I want you to take a few minutes and discuss with your proctor ways that you can incorporate resident engagement with your day-to-day objectives. Now that you've discussed with your proctor, I'm just going to go over a few choices of engagements that you could be doing throughout your shift. Maybe having the resident fold laundry with you, or how about loading the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher, maybe sweeping the dining room floor before and after lunch, or what about vacuuming? Some other options might be wiping down the tables before and after lunch services. And those options that I just went through are all things that our residents can do safely. Now let's discuss some benefits of a meaningful engagement. Some benefits could be a confidence booster by giving that person purpose again, improving their cognitive function, giving them that ability to feel less isolated, reducing challenging behaviors by, again, giving them that purpose and a dignified approach, and then giving them that ability to maintain that independence for a longer amount of time. And the way we do that is by modifying programs as well. So maybe someone that isn't able to paint anymore, maybe they're eating the paint, taking away that dignity. Instead of having them sit there and eat the paint, we can move to watercoloring. And there's also another program called aqua painting, which is a blank sheet of paper where the resident will take a paintbrush and they'll paint with water on it, and it's like magic. It turns into a beautiful piece of artwork. And doing so with the aqua painting, we're reducing that anxiety and potential behaviors with the I can't do this anymore. And then also reducing the risk of developing certain health problems. So next I like to tie in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So Maslow was a psychologist who mentioned that in order to get to the full potential and reach your full potential and do it successfully, you have to hit each step of this pyramid. So one of our main goals and objectives throughout the day during our shifts, our goal is to really ensure that we assist residents into reaching the top of this pyramid and hitting self-actualization. And with memory loss, that is a little bit more difficult. So it's our duty to identify how we can assist our residents into meeting each goal. And that being said, we all have that desire to feel like we belong and have purpose and also feel safe throughout the day. So looking at the pyramid, we can meet their basic needs. So starting with physiological needs. So we keep them fed, we give them water, we keep them warm and rested. And then looking at that safety, we keep our residents safe in our community every single day. And then it gets a little bit more in depth looking at belongingness and love needs. So it's our goal to really help and assist our residents into creating relationships and developing those relationships in our neighborhoods, bringing them to observe programs. And in my community, I really like to team a resident up with a buddy, someone like them, someone that has the same interests. Therefore, they both strive together and they go to programs together and they're happy. And then if you look at the pyramid, the next step would be their STEAM needs. So maybe getting them to participate in a volunteer program, having them assist you in cleaning the dining room, setting up silverware, bringing them to programs and lectures. And then you get into the self-actualization, which is learning new things, bringing them to art, poetry, volunteering, or maybe they want to be the resident council president or the resident ambassador. Have them join that welcoming committee and to helping other residents join into the community and feel welcomed. So ask yourself, what is the difference between activities that occupy time versus meaningful engagement? In just 1 minute, I'm going to have the proctor pause the video to have a group discussion on this. I would also like the group to discuss a time where you may have provided a resident with a meaningful engagement. Give us some ideas, get creative. An example could include maybe a resident really enjoys the game of golf. Maybe instead of just sitting them in front of the TV to occupy their time, you could get out the golf putters, golf ball, and get a little green and play a competitive game. It's all about meeting that person where they are in that moment. Possible pitfalls. So what prevents you from offering a meaningful engagement? Too busy, not enough time, too many residents needing things, not enough staff on the neighborhoods, lack of motivation, lack of ideas, and lack of confidence. So how can we change this and overcome those pitfalls? Maybe education, reaching out to your community directors and asking for some assistance and getting to better know the residents, the community, and the programs, building that confidence, maybe taking Kelly McCarthy's brass ring training program, obtaining supplies. Maybe you don't have the appropriate supplies that you may need. Again, going to your community directors can really assist you in getting that supplies. And changing your approach. Sometimes your approach isn't always the correct approach for that person. And approaches is all based on the individual as well. So maybe changing your approach on how to better handle that specific person. Goals to reach during a meaningful activity. Meeting each resident where they are at and recognizing their current level of functionality by emphasizing their strengths. So in doing so, we need to provide structure, routine, and that confidence. So those peacock moments, pride, beauty, confidence. And more stimulation leads to reduced behaviors, reducing factors of medication management by engagement. And it's really important to remember to focus on the individual's abilities that remain and not on those that are lost. We want to meet them in their reality and not try to bend their reality into ours. I want you to take a few moments to discuss what the social history questionnaire is and where in your community it's kept. Each community should have a system in place for you to have access. The key to success is reading through the information upon move-in. And also another thing to keep in mind is you have to put your belief systems and habits aside and really take in what's under someone's iceberg. So with an iceberg, we get the good, the bad, and the ugly. We are not here to judge our residents. This information should be used to really create that relationship with them and better understand them so that we can create those peacock moments. Preferences are everything, especially in memory care. It's how we make our residents feel comfortable. It gives them that control, that dignity. Also, I want you to always communicate something that might work for you to another coworker so that we can carry that on if it worked for the resident. So this next exercise is actually one of my favorites, the Iceberg Exercise. What's under your iceberg? Many of you have seen this. It's actually part of Kelly McCarthy's brass ring training, and it's a very interesting concept. The iceberg's all about learning who the person is by diving deep under the surface to discover someone's likes, dislikes, and even triggers they may have. It's all about discovering that person and who they are with the good, the bad, and the ugly. In doing so, we can create a connection with them as well. So this resident who really, she just did not like taking showers. It was a fear of hers. She would get really anxious around the showers. But there was one thing that a caregiver pointed out that she always enjoyed doing. She had this flower that she would sit at the country bar every morning and color in that flower. So the caregiver came up with this brilliant idea of trying to draw the flower in her shower. So we bought some shower crayons and we drew the flower in there, and have you know what, the resident got right in the shower and she started coloring the flower as if she was sitting at the bar, and she allowed the care to be done. I thought, wow, what a fantastic idea. And that was really thinking outside of the box. So we really have to be open-minded to what our residents' likes and dislikes are. It's really important to share information with each other. So once this started working for this resident, we kept on doing that. We communicated with the entire team. This works for her. This doesn't work for her. I have a picture of an ironing board and an iron. I know one day, which many people don't know, under my iceberg is the fact that I have to have my clothes ironed. Many people are like, why bother? But to me, it's how my clothes look nice. I look professional. I feel clean once my clothes are ironed. So that's something to keep in mind that's underneath my iceberg. I have two different case studies I would like to go over. So scenario one, you are running a small ball toss engagement on the neighborhood. Mr. Drake walks up to the group, he takes the ball and walks away with it. So what are your thoughts? What can you do in this scenario? So proctors, I'm going to have you pause this video and just talk with the group and come up with some possibilities. Some possibilities that I came up with were Mr. Drake may have a few things that are bothering him. Maybe the program's too noisy for him. Maybe having an associate, an RCA, an RSA, or an engagement associate take him for a walk away from the game. He may think that he was playing and got the ball, so maybe congratulate him and use hand gestures to see if he will toss it back to you. or grab another ball and begin group again. Scenario number 2. All your tasks are completed and there are 2 residents left on the neighborhood, while everyone else is engaged in a big group program. One resident is wandering and picking up small items on the floor, and the other resident is insisting he go home. What could you do to engage these 2 residents? Proctors, please take a moment and pause the video to discuss. For resident number 1, maybe giving them a dustpan and a broom and having them clean up that way, maybe even a vacuum or one of those sweepers. For resident number 2, insisting on going home, try redirecting him to a program of his liking. Or maybe getting the 2 together if you think they're compatible and doing a smaller group program at the table with them. But I want you to engage those residents. I don't want you to just ignore them. Both of these residents need purpose. Spend 5 to save 20. I'm sure you've all heard this plenty of times. This is something I say commonly in my community. So making sure that we're not so much focusing on the time, but focusing on that connection that you're creating with your residents. So I'd like you as a group to take a moment to pause this video and discuss with your proctor why a resident might say no to you. Now that you've had some time to discuss, could it be your approach, maybe your tone, your facial expressions? I could easily walk up to a resident and say, hey, come with me. I need you to come out here. And they'll be like, I'm not going with you. But if I walk in and I say, hey, Sally, how you doing? How's your day going? It's so good to see you. Chances are she's going to want to come out of her apartment with me and join in. I'm happy, I'm smiling, and I go in creating that connection right firsthand. You could also go in and say, hey, I could really use some help in the garden. Have you seen those tomatoes? So really starting a conversation with them, and that's really to help them get them out of their apartment and want to engage in a program. We're going to go back to talking about person-centered care. So how can we minimize each resident's limitations so that they want to participate in a program? Is the environment too loud? Is it too busy? What are their likes and interests? If the community and neighborhood are too busy, they're not going to want to go into that program. More distractions could be the TV, the lights aren't bright enough. Are the lights on? Maybe check for missing light bulbs, glares. And also, it's really important to be thankful for them joining you. If you show them that you're thankful, they're going to want to come back. Thank you so much, Sally, for coming to help me with these tomatoes. You did such a great job. Our residents love praise, and praise will keep them coming back. I want you to all feel inspired. I want you to feel like you can do this. And these are some simple programs that you can do for the residents left behind on the neighborhood that don't really go to the bigger group programs or don't feel comfortable going to those big group programs. So we have a ball toss, parallel programs, side by sides. An example could be the residents in the multi-purpose room are working on canvas painting, and maybe there's some lower functioning residents left on the neighborhood that are working on watercoloring. And then there's another adaptation called aqua painting. So aqua painting is really cool. It's like a magic piece of paper. All the resident needs is that aqua paint paper and a wet paintbrush. They're going to take that wet paintbrush and paint along the paper, and it's magic. A beautiful image appears. So that we use in our community for our lower functioning residents. But there's puzzle groups, there's card games, finish the lyrics, looking through photo albums, watering the gardens, reminiscing groups. And a reminiscing group you could easily do while you're sitting there doing your book work, your ADLs, sweeping floors, wiping countertops, tables, cooking up memories. Maybe you want to do a one-on-one banana bread activity. All the other residents are going to come back to that beautiful aroma in the neighborhoods. And again, watercoloring. I'd like to take a minute to talk about a documentary that I really do enjoy called Alive Inside. We're going to be focusing on Henry today, but if you haven't watched it yet, I definitely put it on your watch list. Alive Inside is a documentary that has to do with music and memory, and it's about the human connection we find in music. Music also brings a healing power that sometimes the medications can't bring. Music can assist with storing your sense of self and combat that memory loss. So thinking of social history questionnaires, in that questionnaire it asks any favorite songs, any favorite artists that the residents might enjoy. Also, when I'm meeting with the families, I like to ask them that one specific song that might bring them happiness, because we do have Alexas on our neighborhoods here. And if I see that a resident's down, I look at that social history and I make sure that I play that song that brings them happiness and peace. I also have 2 young children, and every single night we sing a little lullaby that I was taught as a baby, which my mom was taught by her mom, so it's gone through each generation. It's called Que Linda Manita. My kids expect me to sing it every night, or they won't go to bed. That song to me brings happy feelings, happiness, and the reminders of laying in bed with my mom as a kid. So I know one day if someone sings that song to me and I'm sad and lonely, it's gonna bring peace and happiness to me, and hopefully bring a big smile over my face. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna play the clip for you on Henry, and after the video, I would like your proctor to pause and discuss how music had specifically impacted Henry's life.
He's one of the 5 million people in America with dementia.
To add to that is Henry came back to life. He was restored to his former self and able to experience the joy and that the music brought to him. Emotions and the amygdala. So your amygdala is your emotional processing area of your brain. It has music evoked emotions, it controls decision making, emotional memories, regulates behavior, and also initiates that fear response. So music can be very impactful to someone with dementia, as music recognition touches different parts of the brain. Music can provide a link to someone's past, helping them have certain memories they have lost, but also keep in mind that sad songs can also bring feelings of sadness into our residents as well. But music is a great way for caregivers to connect with someone who is nonverbal as well, and it also brings calm and allows someone to relax and trust the caregiving process. Is a powerful tool. So I'm going to go ahead and play one more video. It's titled Raymond and it's by Brett Eldridge. It's about a man who works in an assisted living community and he creates a relationship with one of the residents that live there. At the end of the video, I would like the proctor to pause it and discuss how Raymond actively engages with the resident. In conclusion, so let's focus on empowerment and feeling supported in each of your communities. Work with your community leader in finding and using the appropriate resources, and let's collaborate as a team to make engagement successful for each and every resident. Always strive to find ways on improving our care for our residents. And then also one thing I like to point out is not to stand behind the country kitchens unless you're really helping a resident with any specific needs. Sometimes those spots turn into kind of the hiding corners or documentation corners, but those country kitchens really shouldn't be stood in unless you're really assisting with lunch or grabbing something for a resident. And then also focus on meeting the resident where he or she is in their current time. We are a team. So remember, involve yourself no matter what position you hold in your community. Engagement is part of your day. Get involved, whether it is singing, dancing, or art. You can make a difference in our residents' lives. Ask your directors if there's anything you can do, but just be part of that team. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.